I hope it is agreed that both Europe and the United States should move, ideally, in my view, to a zero tariff situation, effectively creating a free trade zone between Europe and North America. So I think radical deregulation is necessary in Europe. And if that means leaving the EU, it means leaving the EU. It's very difficult to reduce the size of the bureaucracy and government spending. It comes with immense opposition. Even when the things that we are cutting make no sense at all, it still gets a lot of opposition. But we're very transparent with the Department of Government Efficiency. So any action that we make, we post on the doge.gov website, and we post on our X account. So it's extreme transparency, but nonetheless, we get accused of all sorts of things, but we are extremely transparent, and we're only cutting the most obvious, terrible expenses that make no sense. But nonetheless, we get attacked like crazy.
In a no-holds-barred interview, Elon Musk calls for a radical reset of Europe's economic system, pushing for sweeping deregulation, the elimination of tariffs, and even suggesting that nations should consider exiting the EU if necessary. Musk warns that unchecked immigration, censorship, and excessive bureaucracy are eroding countries from within, putting freedom, innovation, and national identity at risk. He doesn't pull any punches. From Brussels to big tech, Musk names culprits, exposes deep-rooted corruption, and lays out a bold proposal for a US-EU free trade zone built on liberty instead of control.
As a general rule, you can tell which side is the good side and which side is the bad side by which side wishes to restrict freedom of speech. So ironically, in pushing for censorship, it makes it very clear that the left is the side that is against freedom, and freedom of speech is simply one of many freedoms that we should have as a civil society, because ideas should win on the strength of their arguments. They should not win because they are suppressed. The mass immigration is insane and will lead to the destruction of any country that allows unfettered mass immigration. That country will simply cease to exist. At the end of the day, it is a numbers game. If there are 8 billion people in the world, let's say you're a country of 50 million, 60 million, or for a medium-sized country, but even for a country like the United States, which is 350 million, given that there are 8 billion people in the world, it only takes a few percent of the rest of the world to move to the country to where it is no longer that country. A country is not its geography. A country is its people. This is a fundamental concept that is really obvious. I mean, if you took the people of Italy and you teleported the people of Italy to, say, some part of the United States, it would still be Italy. But if you teleported a bunch of people from some other part of the world to Italy, then the geographic region would no longer be Italy. It would be that other country. A country is its people, not its geography. I hope that the United States and Europe can establish a very close partnership. We obviously are, there's an alliance already, but I'm hopeful that there can be a very close relationship with America and Europe. And I'm hopeful, for example, with the tariffs, that at the end of the day, I hope it is agreed that both Europe and the United States should move, ideally, in my view, to a zero tariff situation, effectively creating a free trade zone between Europe and North America. And that would be that's what I hope occurs. And also more freedom of people to move between Europe and North America, if they wish. If they wish to work in Europe or wish to work in America, they should be allowed to do so, in my view. So that has certainly been my advice to the president. Well, starting a company, building a company is like staring glass and it's like eating glass and staring into the abyss. It's very painful and difficult. If you need encouragement for starting a company, I recommend that you do not start a company. That said, the regulations in Europe is over-regulated. There are too many rules and regulations that make it very difficult to create a company, and do too much to protect large companies at the expense of small to medium-sized companies. The net result is you have a bunch of very small companies in Europe, and then a small number of very large companies, but then not much in the middle. So there needs to be a way to go from being a small company, if you're making great products and services, to be able to scale to ultimately become a big company. But you have effectively regulatory capture by the large corporations in Europe. They don't really want to reduce the regulatory burden, and they like the fact that the regulations effectively protect their duopolies or monopolies in some cases. So really, I think it's up to the government to say, no, we have to foster small companies and allow them to compete and reduce regulations because the regulatory situation in Europe is stifling, and Brussels is amplifying that greatly. So you have both the local regulations, the country regulations, and then you have the EU regulations. There's so many regulations in Europe. It makes it extremely difficult to start a company and be successful. So I think radical deregulation is necessary in Europe. And if that means leaving the EU, it means leaving the EU.
In this video, Elon Musk issues an urgent and unvarnished warning. Europe is drowning in its own bureaucracy, and if it doesn't act boldly, it will fall behind forever. Personally, I agree with his assessment. Overregulation, censorship, and uncontrolled immigration are eroding the very foundations of free societies. Musk isn't afraid to say what many think, but few dare to express. His call for radical deregulation and a free trade zone between Europe and the US is provocative, yet necessary. If Europe wants to thrive, it must stop fearing change and embrace competition.